So I went to Microsoft Ventures London program, and basically one of the mentors over there, she knew Alan, and they kind of introduced me. She was like, "Okay, there's a really cool startup, and he's based out of Nepal. You should talk." And I don't know. I think given the fact that there's like literally few of us out here, so it was kind of like a big deal. And yeah, we started talking, and kind of met Alan when I was visiting Nepal this time, and that's how I know Microsoft Ventures now. So yeah, I'll tell you a bit more about myself as we go along, but I was just to give you a background of myself. I'm Nepalese as well, born and raised over here, and I moved to US to do my undergraduate degree in computer science. Moved to London to do my master's. Started a couple of companies over there, none of them yet successful, but we'll see. So I did a outsourcing company before starting a UX camp. So yeah, we started the company in London. So my co-founder was based in, he was working at BBC, and I was working at University College London, and we were kind of exploring a lot of different ways of how you can improve user experience of an app. And we kind of played around with few prototypes and stuff, and we came up with we built because we were bringing people into our labs, and we were kind of using cameras to record them. So we realized that there's got to be a better way to do this. And given the fact that both of us we were developers, we cranked down a few codes, and we wrote a SDK that records that captures all the user interaction data. So that's kind of like the nutshell on what UXCam does. We went through Microsoft Ventures. After that, we went through 500 Startups, which is another accelerator in Mountain View in San Francisco. And then we raised a bit more money, and I'm kind of based out there. Myself and our UX designer, two people in San Francisco. My co-founder is still based in London, and he has one more developer, and we have a dev team in Nepal. So altogether, we are 12 people. So fairly big for a startup, but also really remote as well, as in terms of fairly global. So we are already 3 countries for a startup, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, so I was gonna talk a bit. So Narisha told me about you guys are kind of starting out and obviously joined Microsoft, and you're kind of in the early phase. So in the morning, I was thinking, what should I be talking about in the presentation? And I kind of realized that perhaps, maybe if I talk about a bit of motivational stuff and a bit of what I went through during the program, maybe that might be the best way to go for it. And yeah, obviously, feel free to interrupt and ask me a question, and we can kind of go anywhere you guys want to take it. Yeah. Okay, so I'll start with this picture. This is actually one of my favorite pictures. It's kind of blurry, but does anybody know this picture? So this is the picture. This is a picture of pale blue dot. It was taken in 1990 when Voyager 1 was over. It was at 4 billion miles away. And NASA, they commanded saying that, okay, we got to take a picture of what the Earth looks like. And this is what it looks like from 4 billion miles away. So really what it is a tiny blue dot. I mean, when you think about it, it's crazy, right? It's every sorrow, every joy, everything you're doing right here is literally based in one pixel over there. That's a bit insane. When you think about it, right? And also, when you look at this picture and when you think about it, it just feels that life is meaningless, right? But on the other hand, for everybody out here, everybody knows that life is wonderful, so precious, and probably which is the fact why you guys are out here, kind of doing crazy stuff, changing the world, etc. So I kind of put these in perspective in terms of any decision you make. So looking at where you are in the whole in this whole ecosystem where you are. I mean, it's fairly small, but in terms of the reason why we are doing a lot of these stuff is really because you kind of want to do something good for the world. And so yeah, this is one of my favorite picture, and I kind of relate to this in terms of any decision I make, especially the bigger decision. When I kind of look back at really, towards the end, when I look at it, does it still make sense or no? And kind of like making decision from a whole different perspective. So yeah, I think I kind of told you a bit more about myself, but born and raised in Nepal, in a really small town, place near Birgunj called Jitpur. Actually not even born in Nepal, because there wasn't any hospital there, so I was taken to India, which is kind of in the border. But anyways, yeah, I mean, the reason what I'm trying to say is even I think you shouldn't really hinder in terms of, given the fact that you're born and based in Nepal and you're starting a company out here. I don't think that should be a hindrance in terms of what you can achieve. You should really try to make it to the full potential. So I mean, given the fact that you have access to internet, Microsoft Venture is supporting us, there isn't really any boundaries for you. So that's one key message I want to say. Yeah, so my experience was going through Microsoft Ventures and 500 startups, and I can talk a bit more about my experience over there. So I joined Microsoft Ventures London in February 2014. That was 3 months program, three and a half months program. And then during the program, we had a lot of mentors over there. So about 30 or 40 mentors. And basically the way it works is you kind of look for, what do you need help on? And you kind of look at these mentor list, and I'm guessing it's probably the same out here as well. And yeah, I think a few things that was really helpful for me was really asking for help, rather than nobody's gonna come to you and tell you I want to help you. But it's really you need to approach and kind of find people who can help you on it. And not just asking for help, but also approaching people and asking them, how can I help you? And that's really key for being successful. I mean, I've seen a lot of really successful people, and they never really, they would actually just help you, and without really looking for without actually asking anything from you. And I kind of want to convey that to you guys as well. I mean, help out other people, and I'm sure that kind of comes back. And something that I do when I help out people is I kind of say, okay, if I help out somebody, I'll just say, I'm sure you would do the same to me. And that's kind of like something I learned from one of the talks somewhere. But when you do that, it kind of creates this thing that, okay, you basically owe me something. You need to help me back, or so that kind of creates this whole different kind of scenarios. But yeah, so that was one thing about asking help and helping other people. The fellow companies, besides mentors, I think the fellow companies was really helpful as well. So instead of asking, besides all the mentors and stuff, all of you guys in separate companies, you're kind of going through similar phases of the company. I mean, I don't know, like maybe taxes or hiring, fundraising, etc. So really, talking to your colleagues and your friends is probably the best way to kind of learn a bit more. And definitely ask for advice with people, but don't take it as that's the right way to go, because it's really your company, and you know best what's best for your company. So if when you're asking somebody, when somebody's giving you advice, make sure you do that, because a lot of the times I've asked mentors for advice and all, and you probably get two different contradictory advice as well. So that's something to consider as well. I mean, yeah, that's your baby. You should take care of it. Yeah. And one of the biggest mistake that I did was when we were starting the company was we spent 1 year without actually shipping. So we were kind of because we are all of us, we are developers, we're always being like, okay, this feature is cool, we gotta build this, and we were just keep building, and that was like the biggest mistake I've ever done. Like when I look at it again now, we would have been at least 8 months ahead, if not more, had we actually been shipping all the time rather than just thinking what's cool. So especially red flag for, if there's a lot of developer team, you should kind of look at it again in terms of decision you guys make. And yeah, I think fairly later down the line, I learned it's not, people don't really care what you do. They really care about why you do something. So I mean, there's a really nice talk I'll show you guys in really quickly. But when I say okay, UX Cam, we build SDK for iOS and Android apps so that you can improve user experience. Nobody cares, right? But if I say I believe that I can improve user experience of your user, I believe that your apps could be better. And so if you start out in a whole different way, you can convey the story a lot more better way. So I'm gonna show you this. I hope I have sound. I won't show all of it, but just a few 5 minutes. So that's the key message.
If Apple were like everyone marketing is done, that's how most sales is done, and that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do, we say how we're different or how we better, we expect some sort of behavior or purchase or vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. The best lawyers and the biggest clients we have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It has great gas mileage, it has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspired. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You're ready to buy a computer from me. All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. But we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a DVR from Apple. But as I said before, Apple's just a computer company. There's nothing that distinguishes them structurally from any of their competitors. Their competitors are all equally qualified to make all of these products. In fact, they tried. A few years ago, Gateway came out with flat-screen TVs. They're eminently qualified to make flat-screen TVs. They've been making some flat-screen monitors for years. Well, we bought one. Dell came out with MP3 players and PDAs. And they make great quality products, and they can make perfectly well-designed products. And nobody bought one. In fact, talking about it now, we can't even imagine buying an MP3 player from Dell. Why would you buy an MP3 player from a computer company? But we do it every day. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
Cool. I think I'll slow down. Okay. So yeah, people don't care what you do. They really care why you do something, and I'll share the link if somebody's interested. But you should definitely watch this. It's super inspiring, and I think the message what I'm trying to convey over here is you need to tell a better story. If you say what you do, nobody will care. But you need to be, and storytelling is such an important skill as an entrepreneur. You have to, you're always selling, right? I mean, you even at hiring, let's say if you want to bring somebody on your team, what you're doing is you're telling a story why they should join your company, why, you're actually telling a story over there. When you're fundraising to the investor, you're actually telling a story. Why should they believe you? Why you are doing the best you are? So what I'm trying to say is you learn how to tell a good story, to convey from your brain to actually something everybody can kind of understand and relate to. So pitch day, I think I briefly talked about what happened during the Accelerator program. So besides mentors and all, we talking with companies, that was really helpful during the program. And yeah, ask for help other people. For the pitch day, I think especially well for me, I mean, we had to work really hard on the pitch day, so we kind of started about a month and a half ago. So we're literally, I can't even remember how many times I practiced my pitch, probably more than 200 times, but nail down the pitch, figure out what's the best way to kind of convey the message. There is some really good ways to kind of so Dave McClure has really good ways to kind of show what the presentation deck should look like, etc. Speak confidence. Confidence is super important. I mean, so people can see whether you're confident or no, like straight from a distance away. And if you don't believe what you're doing, then nobody's gonna believe you either. So I don't know, like you just need to kind of get that confidence, and you need to be out there. And if you can't do it, you just need to fake it. But you just gotta do it somehow. So yeah, pitch day for me, pitch day was quite good. I'll actually show a really short video of my pitch deck as well. So this was during the 500 startups pitch day.
Taking issues and increase revenue. In our previous job, we built the BBC app that had millions of downloads. We had problems. And that sucks when you have spent so much of your time and energy building a product. We used a lot of quantitative tools that did an amazing job. But for qualitative, all we had was expensive lab-based testing, feedback, surveys, all of which are highly inefficient and expensive. We were frustrated by this, which is why we took matters onto our own hands and built UX camps to solve our problem. It's not just our frustration. Every app needs UX camp. It's a massive problem, so huge that in just the last 4 months since we launched, we have onboarded over 800 companies, growing at 60% month over month. That's how big the problem is.
So on the pitch deck, I mean, when you're especially, so at least how I did it was, you know, kind of rather than saying what we do and stuff, go for numbers, you know, like where you are as a company. So how many customers you have, how much money you are making right now, etc. So that might, given depending on which is higher. So if you have a lot of customers right now, try to focus that and then kind of talk about what you do later. Versus, you know, if you have really good idea but you don't have customers yet, then you can kind of go other way around. But try to get the best stuff. So almost like tell what you're gonna say it, and say what you just said. So, you know, kind of like those 3 phases during the pitch deck, and I can talk more later on after this if you want to know bit more about pitching and stuff. Yeah. So. And yeah, obviously be confident. I mean, at that time I was, you know, I actually took a couple of shots of vodka before I got in there because I was so nervous. But you know, you just gotta do what you gotta do and just do best. Yeah. Fundraising, raising fund. So I'm kind of like really briefly going through each of the steps, and then we can kind of talk about it later after the talk if you want to focus on something else. For the fundraising, we raised some money from London investors, and then at that time it was actually, we were really early phases on our product, so it was mostly because I knew those guys, and he kind of trusted me, and he just literally, I mean, he doesn't have money either, so he just wrote a check for £5,000, so about 5 lakhs. But we raised the first money over there, but we kind of, during the fundraising process, I think you should raise fund when you don't need to, just because you get better valuation in terms of, you know, how much you're raising, etc. And especially because if your run rate is, if you just have 1 more month left and you're kind of getting into fundraising, then you're probably either not going to fundraise or you're just going to get really shitty valuation. So that's one thing, and I think it's a lot of work in fundraising as well. So I mean, I kind of scraped off Angel List completely. So Angel List is one of the sites where the angels, where investors post about themselves, and a startup posts about themselves as well. So we wrote a few scripts that kind of takes down all the angel investors list, and then figures out, you know, who are in the mobile space, etc. So it's quite time consuming, and nobody wants to do it, but you know, as the CEO of the company, or somebody's got to do it. Yeah, I think those were the few things. Third thing is, generally when you're talking to, especially to angel investors, or you know, especially somebody who's writing smaller checks, if they're asking for too much from you, they're probably not going to invest on you. I mean, if they're asking continuously, if they're asking for a business plan or finance plan, and they keep asking you for small checks, just don't even bother about it. It's just not worth your time. And I think given I'm sure you guys are like a really small team right now, so founders' time is super important, and you have to kind of figure out what makes sense. And why I'm here. So the reason I'm here is, obviously, given the fact that I've kind of been through a few accelerators, and I can kind of share stories and hopefully help out somebody in some ways, if I can. So I really believe that there's going to be one company, one unicorn companies from Nepal. I kind of want to see that in sometime next next 2-3 years time. I do believe that there's going to be one company that there would be potentially be like Facebook or Google or really $1 billion company out of this. And I kind of want to be part of this ecosystem, and hopefully I'll be able to help out somebody in the process, and that's just going to help. That's just a personal thing I would love to do. So yeah. I guess in Nepal, or just culturally as well, I think we are a bit less confident and bit kind of like we just and given the fact that there hasn't been a big exit out of here, that's a big problem. I mean, imagine one of the companies, one of you guys, making another $1 billion company out of Nepal. And I think that would be awesome, because in a lot of different ways. But the way I see it is, if one company gets to that point, and the whole mindset of the people and the students would be like, okay, if this guy can do it, I can do it too. And I really believe that there's going to be in next few years time, there's going to be that company over there. And I hope one of you guys, and kind of want to be the part of this. And I think the last thing I would say is, like during my whole journey, I lot of the times, especially on meetings and investor meetings, etc., it was really hard for me to kind of pitch, and I wasn't really confident, and I was like, could I actually do this? And the belief in myself that whether I can do it or no. That was kind of like I had to work a lot to kind of come across it, and walking to VC fund and stuff, and then saying I need $2 million to do my company, and that's kind of like a big statement, and that wasn't really inside me. I wasn't sure whether I can do it or no, and the whole belief. So. I just want you guys to believe that you can do it too, and that's super important, and everybody can sense that. So somehow you just need to do that, and kind of that's kind of like my last slide. Just believe in yourself, and hopefully be confident, and make shit happen. That's it. I think that's all the slide, and I'm happy to take any questions and talk a bit more on any part that's interesting. Hopefully that was useful. I don't know.
So when we raise funds, when we start raising funds, let's say we need 1 million rupees. So should we stick with 1 million rupees, or should we go for like more than what we need?
So if you can raise more money, then you can, because the thing is that if you are able to raise money now, you should add a bit of buffer, because most likely you'd overrun those money, and you need to balance it out, because obviously you're giving a certain part of your company to somebody else, and you need to balance it out. But the problem is that if you raise 10 million, and if you kind of run out of that money, then the next round, it's going to be really hard for you to raise that at that point, because you didn't stick with your plan, right? So most likely your trust factor has kind of gone down, right? So I would say you need to balance out. If you need 10 million, you should raise 15 million just to have extra buffer. But yeah, don't raise too much either. And yeah. Sorry, what's your company?
Singers Factory.
What do you do?
We plan to produce music. Like it's for the singers.
You don't plan to. You produce music. No, I'm just saying. Yeah.
So what like our concept is like the singers who want to make music. Like we are mostly focused on people like you who are living abroad, but
Yeah.
they have a problem recording their music because like when like you are a Nepali and you want to make a song, but you can't go to English recordist and then say like I want this Nepali kind of feeling for a song. So like our business concept is mostly focused on Nepalese like who are living abroad. So like,
Right.
When they want to make a song, so like if they have a lyrics and composition, they send us the lyrics and composition of their voice, and we make a music track and we send them the music track. So there will be a list of people like all the professionals that they want to work with.
Right.
So basically, we send them the music track where they can put their song, their voice, and then make a song.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Cool. Interesting. Okay. And where are you guys in the company? Are you ideating the idea, right? Okay. Cool. Awesome.
So you said that during a pitch you would say look at the numbers. So besides the numbers, is there any other aspect that anyone would want to have in a pitch besides numbers?
Besides numbers, so it's really telling your story, right? So I mean, if you have, given the fact that you guys are a bit more early in the company, right? So you probably don't have the numbers yet, right? I guess in that case you're really selling the vision. So because you don't have numbers yet, but you can kind of show what you could potentially be in 6 months or a year time or 2 years time. I guess that could be one approach. Versus other could be telling your story and kind of showcasing the market, how big the market could be. Yeah. If you have numbers, it's great, but yeah, I mean, especially if you're giving a pitch to the investors, because they don't really care what you do. They kind of care. Well, some people do, but they really care about how much money they can make out of it. So they're more interested in the numbers. Yeah, but again, I guess even if you're telling story, if there are few investors who can kind of relate to your story, then that's awesome. But it really, you have to kind of tailor it down. Yeah.
So after like we have a business idea and we have a business running, so like how many let's say it'll take us like maybe a year or two to actually get the volume that we want. So like within that period, if we don't achieve that volume, then like what would you advise? Like should we still stick to the same concept or?
So I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned is not giving up easily, and that's kind of like one of the key things about being entrepreneur, or at least a successful entrepreneur, is if you look at a lot of the successful entrepreneurs, they faced a lot of challenges, right? So looking at, for example, Airbnb, right? I mean, they were doing something completely different, right? But they, besides, I mean, if you're working on it, obviously pivot if something doesn't make sense for a long time. So what I suggest is rather than always believing on your instinct. So if you think that that's the right way to go and stuff, I think you need to balance down two things. So one is obviously building some sort of data-driven culture on your company or as a founder itself as well, and kind of looking at numbers. So So kind of like looking at I need to sign up this many users, I need to increase revenue by this much, and if something is not working, then you kind of do some tweaks and stuff, and it's really like an experiment, right? So you have like 5 different hypotheses. You kind of try out all, and if these numbers doesn't go up and you're out of the hypothesis, then you got to pivot, right? Versus if something makes sense, then you kind of have to go and accelerate. So forgot the question, but you need to balance down between data. So try to be a bit more data driven, but also having instinct as well. So because you kind of either you're a domain expert in what you're doing or something. You have inside knowledge. So keeping a balance between these two, yeah. Okay. केही नबुझेको स्लाइडमा anything? So how many companies are here? 10. Okay. All right. Cool.
In general, what are the specific terms? Angel investor or VC?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
What are the specific terms they ask for us? Angel investor or VC?
What do they ask from? Yeah.
In QA we know that they will take equity or something like that.
Yeah.
So do you know any specific most of the investors take home ask for?
I didn't understand. Nepali भन्दा नि हुन्छ है. I didn't understand. Sorry. भन्नाले एन्जल इन्भेस्टर र VC मा चाहिँ के डिफरेन्स छ? कन्डिसनहरु चाहिँ के हुन्छ? Special. Okay. So his question is angel investor र VCs ले के question के चाहन्छ के Okay. So first हामीले फर्स्ट राउन्ड रेज गर्ने बेलामा चाहिँ हामीले 100 grand रेज गरेको हैन अनि त्यतिखेर चाहिँ हामीले 7% कम्पनीको दिएको थियो 7% of the company. No. Profit as in so like company as in you can kind of think about it as a sheep and you have like a lot of wool, right? So that's the whole wool is 100%, and then
you valued your company at like $12 million.
No, about 1.5 million. Yeah.
This was 7%.
Yeah. So yeah, I was saying, the whole sheep is 100%, and basically I kind of took 7% of the wool out and I gave it to the investor. So kind of. So that was I gave 7%, but we did. The next round we raised was mostly on convertible notes. So the way it works is we raised a bit more money, and the valuation was $3.5 million. Yeah. And I think really the basic terms. I mean, what percentage of company are you giving? What's the valuation? What kind of valuation you're doing? Some investor might ask you for board rights, but depending on how much you're raising, if you're raising small money, then you don't need to. You don't need to. I don't say you don't need to. You shouldn't give board rights because it's your company, and for a small amount, you shouldn't give them rights. But especially VCs, they would ask for a board right. So you can't make decision just from your own. They have a say on how your company goes. So that's board rights. What else? I think that's pretty much it. If you want to learn more about these terms, read a book called Venture Deals. Venture Deals by, I can't remember the name of the person, but I can send a link across. But basically, it's by Bradfeld. He's the co-founder of Techstar, and it's a really nice book. I think it's by him, but yeah, it's a good book. And it talks everything about investment and basically raising money and valuation and VCs and all the terms you need to know about. Yeah.
How did you come up with that 1.4 million valuation? What was the factors?
So we didn't actually. I mean, they have a set of specified. So the Accelerator, they already have a set of specified valuation, and any company they bring in, especially if they're pre-money, pre-revenue, then that's kind of like the valuation. But you can negotiate if you're doing more than $1 million in monthly recurring revenue, then you can kind of negotiate to a lot less. But generally, if you're pre-revenue, then that's kind of like the valuation. That's what they go for. Yeah. The next round that we raised was 3.5, but that's kind of like the Silicon Valley standard, between 3.5 to 5 million if you're not making any money. It might be a lot more less in Nepal, given the fact that, there's a lot of different factors. It might be a lot more different. The valuation are a lot more higher in San Francisco or other part of the world, but so is the, expenses as well. So it kind of balances out, but yeah.
And what made you give 7% of equity to them?
Yeah.
What factors consider?
I needed money.
Why not 5%? Why not 10%?
No, so I was just saying him. So that's they have this predefined. They've already defined it. You need to give 7% to the company to the investors, and they have this. They select a lot of companies in one batch, so about 30 companies in one go, and they give 100K to all the companies, and they take 7% from all the companies. And generally, they don't negotiate. You either come in or you don't. And yeah.
So it's like if you qualify for the venture accelerator program, then your company is valuated at 1.4 million. That's
yeah,
okay.
yeah. That's the standard.
For,
Yeah. That's the standard, but you can negotiate if you're making more than $1 million in revenue every month. Then you can negotiate, but generally they wouldn't negotiate with you, yeah.
So for your company, what were your revenue what's the revenue model for your company?
So we charged based on number of videos. That gets uploaded onto platform. So I'm not sure if everybody understood what we do, but we basically make videos of how your users are using your apps or website. And so as a company, you can watch these videos and figure out what are the issues in user experience. So we charged based on number of videos, but now we are adding this second element as well, which is based on monthly active users. So depending on how many users, so company like Uber or big giants like Flipkart, for example, they would pay more because they have more monthly active users versus even though the videos could be limited. So I think when you guys are doing pricing for your companies, what you should charge and stuff. I mean, that's gonna always change, and it's always changing procedure. But you have to keep a couple of things in factor. Like how you can kind of charge, how your pricing sort of scales up depending on who is your customer. So if you don't want to charge $100 for a company like Flipkart, they would probably not believe you, and they would probably think that, So what I'm trying to say is don't undervalue yourself either. Put it, start higher and then kind of go lower rather than kind of, going for cheap. I want to be the cheap one. Don't do that. That's really bad way to do it. So value your company. I mean, you're putting so much effort on it. You need to have a return on that. So. It's based on number of videos and monthly active user. We have a freemium plan. Free 100 videos are free, and then we charge $149, $349, $749, and enterprise from $1,500. Cool. I need a question from these guys. What do you guys do?
We are planning to make an agricultural app.
Make a
Agricultural app?
air control.
No, agricultural app.
Oh, agriculture. Okay. Yeah.
So, the main concept is we are trying to communicate farmers and experts. We are getting data from farmers as well as experts, and the data that is taken from farmers will be used by experts for data analysis.
Okay. Cool. Interesting.
And the data that comes from experts will be used by farmers, like suggestions, like what crops you're planting or
Yeah.
any fertilizers to use.
Oh, cool.
What time.
Cool. Awesome. No, that's an interesting idea. Cool. And where are you guys in terms of, are you still ideating as well, right? You guys are ideating as well. Okay, cool.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
So you guys, when you guys started off, you guys probably started off in a group. So each of you probably had your own set of responsibilities. So how would you, how did you guys really,
Like all of you
differentiate?
Like,
Who does what?
developers, right? So how did you
Yeah.
figure out
The rules. Yeah, so I don't think we have filtered down the roles. I mean, we didn't, at least in that time. We were doing anything and everything that's necessary. So, yeah, as a group. So, I would, my co-founder, he was even more shy person. So, I would never send him to investor meetings, or, I would never send him to talk to customers, versus I would do it sometimes without taking vodka. But, so, it kind of just went across. I mean, it was really, we need to get this thing done. And it's basically whoever takes the lead on it, whoever is better, or whoever has less responsibility. But it kind of, as you kind of grow the company, as you kind of become further down the line, you would know who is good in the CEO stuff, who is good in the operations stuff, who is good in the technical stuff. So it kind of already filters down. You would kind of fit into the comfort zone automatically. But if not, you need to kind of make a decision on, okay, you gotta do the CEO stuff, you gotta do the other stuff, etc. Yeah, and I guess especially when you kind of start growing your company, when you hire more developers, when you hire more salespeople, etc. I think it's the management team who, I mean, they get all the shitty jobs, so who nobody wants to do, they have to do it. So that's kind of like the rule. I mean, once you kind of bring in 10 more people, they're your employees. Some of the works nobody wants to do, right? So it's probably you guys, you have to do it, but yeah.
These guys, they have an idea, and they actually pitch their idea to one of the big client.
Yeah.
And the client is actually like the idea. So now what they're facing is they don't have source of fund. So they're planning to bring in the investors, but these are students.
Right.
So they're thinking how do they value themselves?
Okay.
It's a company where you get funds, but what should be their percentage? If they are not putting any money, they're putting the equity, sweat equity.
Right.
So how to value the sweat equity and the real money.
Okay.
So that's
Yeah.
the problem.
Tell me what you guys do.
Actually, we are solving the problem of advertisers, who has a problem of not getting the users, actually the users that who are actually watching their ads or anything. For them, we are providing the feedbacks as well as number of users, and then for that case, we will be providing user a free internet service. And that cases, what actually we are making the platform interactive platform for the advertisers and also providing free internet service for the users.
Okay.
Applications.
So basically, I can watch an ad and get free Wi-Fi, right? Okay. And who are you approaching? I mean, without saying name, what kind of customer?
Our customer will be an advertising agencies, and for that we will be collaborating with several vendors.
Right.
For Nepal, there will be NTC or ANSI.
Right. Okay. And basically, you need fund to develop the product. Right. Yeah. And who is in your team?
We are 5 members.
Right.
From electronics and communication background.
Right.
For that reason, we have to, for development purpose, we have to hire someone.
Right.
And when we did talk to the NSL, and at the time they said about sending our proposal. At that time, first sending them a proposal, what should we value our company at? As we don't have a product right now, but we do have an idea. So at that case,
So-
Actually, this and service provider,
Yeah.
they offered them two deals. One was revenue sharing, and other one was buying the whole app.
Right.
So they got confused, like, okay, how much they should charge,
Yeah.
like for like if they want to sell the app,
Yeah.
how much like they should quote to the Accelerator.
Mm.
So that's the
Yeah.
confusion that they are.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I don't think you should sell out yet. I mean, it's super early for you guys, and it's really, you're if you actually sell out now, it's gonna be super small, and like you can't expand beyond NTC, and I mean, I don't think the deal size would be really anything big enough where you can retire or anything. So, given the fact that you're already taking the risk, well, again, before I say that, you should make your own judgment, and you should do what you think is right. But from my perspective, I think it's super early, and if you actually just sell out now, it's kind of like they could give that job to any agencies and stuff, and rather than going from you guys, and that's not fun. I think versus if you actually build the product, maybe revenue share is probably the right approach. But if you can, try to go for maybe 1 year revenue share, and then or 2 year revenue share, and then after that you can kind of have, when you have fleshed out the product, then you can kind of, because if you go for revenue share now for unlimited time, I'm sure on their terms they would ask for a really small percentage or a really high percentage, and you guys would be getting really small. So if you can figure out some sort of 2 years timeline or something, then that's the best approach. I'm assuming you want to take this global, right? Yeah. So if you want to take it global, then I think probably that's the best approach. Just try to do for a few years, and if they don't, then if they don't, then fair enough. You can kind of go for longer, because it's not just NTC who is going to be your client. You can potentially have a lot bigger clients as well. So yeah. But if you can do some sort of revenue share and ask them for advance payment, and which could kind of fund your company, you should go for that. Yeah. Or just 10% of revenue share for 1 year time, and if you can have some sort of cash in the bank now, you can kind of fund your company without actually going through. Yeah. That's probably my suggestion. Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of startups, they sell out super early. So there's a lot of risks as well. I mean, we were a digital agency as well before, when we started out, and we didn't have money at some time, and we were always so desperate to get, how do I fund the company for, or at least myself, how do I fund the company for next 2 months, and we did take a lot of, we took external projects, and we were kind of doing that, but it just completely turned our focus down from this side to a whole different side, and that's really a bad thing. So if you can avoid that, I mean, if you gotta do what you gotta do for the company, but if you can find any other better option, don't go for small cash that you can get out of contracting. It just diverge your focus, and it's kind of the similar condition where you are right now. So I think that was yeah.
And what are the things that we should consider while making our content?
नेपालीमा भन्दा हुन्छ?
Revenue model, how to value our company.
Yeah.
In this system.
So in terms of pricing.
Yeah.
Pricing. So pricing, like I was saying earlier, right? I mean, I'll just speak in Nepalese. So pricing गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ जहिले पनि कस्तो भन्दाखेरि सानो क्लाइन्टलाई पनि हुने गरी हैन, तर maximum चाहिँ, so it's almost like your pricing should be elastic, right? So let's say if it's a smaller client, like, I mean, when you look at the whole bigger perspective, T-Mobile and NTC, right? So NTC is kind of like your smaller client. Just go for whatever you can. Versus you should have this. You should base your pricing on in terms of, I don't know. In your case, I would say number of subscriber, or like, so that you can kind of rather than saying, okay, I'm charging $100 per month. And that's kind of like your upper limit, right? But if you say I'm if you say $50 per 100,000 customers, that's probably a lot more valuable than actually $100 per month. So you need to kind of see how you can kind of make the pricing a bit more elastic, so that it scales up. So you can, because obviously you want NTC as a client as well, but these guys can't pay huge chunk, let's say. I'm sure they can, but these guys as a concept, they can't pay really a lot of money. Versus if you go for some really huge clients, T-Mobile, AT&T, they can pay shit lot of money, right? So you need to figure out how you can kind of charge these guys, because if you don't, then there's going to be another competitor who's going to take these clients and who would have a cheaper option. So you have to kind of figure out how you can approach somebody who's smaller, but also your pricing should kind of scale it up. Yeah. And I was saying earlier, right? So don't undervalue your pricing. You should, because people don't believe in small pricing. I mean, we were charging initially when we started out, we were charging $39, and it's kind of like, why would I spend my developer times, even if it's half an hour, because my developer times in half an hour is probably more than $39 anyways. So you have to kind of think about that. So don't go for lower option. You just need to consider a few things, yeah. And also pricing is always dynamic. It keeps changing. You have to iterate. Even now, we are always constantly changing, doing A/B testing on pricing. So depending on how many visitors we are getting, we kind of show one pricing to one set of user, versus we show another pricing to another set of user, and see what the conversion is on both sides, and we kind of see which one is the winner and use that. So these are the few things you should kind of look into. Yeah. बाइसनेस हुन्छ तर कसैले पनि खासै थाहा पाउँदैन. लाइक हामीले कतिचोटि ट्राई गरिसक्यो, अहिलेसम्म कसैले पनि थाहा पाएको छैन. या बाइस त हुन्छ. आई मिन हाम्रो एन्टरप्राइज कस्टमर हामीले अलमोस्ट अति धेरै चार्ज गरिरहेको छ होइन. तर अब दुईवटा एन्टरप्राइज कस्टमर, एउटा सानो एन्टरप्राइज छ, एउटा ठुलो एन्टरप्राइज छ भने होइन, हामीले इभन द हामीले अफरिङ चाहिँ एउटै दिइरहेछ, तर यो ठुलोलाई चाहिँ हामीले धेरै चार्ज गर्छौँ, सानोले चाहिँ थोरै चार्ज गर्छौँ. सर्भिस चाहिँ एउटै हुन्छ, तर एन्टरप्राइज हामीले भन्दैन. इच अदर हाम्रो नन डिस्क्लोजर एग्रिमेन्टमा भनिरहेको हुन्छ, लाइक प्राइसिङ हामीले सेयर गर्न मिल्दैन त्यसरी भनेर चाहिँ. या इक्विटी
हामी अरूमा पनि सबैमा त्यो कन्सेप्ट छ. फन्ड अब ठुलो क्लाइन्ट आयो भने फन्ड गर्नुपर्छ. फन्डिङमा अब के अप्सनमा जाँदाखेरि
सो तिनीहरूले चाहिँ इक्विटी पनि
उनीहरूको चाहिँ कस्तो भने तपाईँको एप अब एनसेलले उनीहरूलाई अर्डर दिनुहुन्छ, त्यो एप बनाउनु पऱ्यो, डेभलपमेन्ट गर्नु पऱ्यो, त्यसको लागि उनीहरूलाई फन्डिङ चाहियो. उनीहरूको टिमबाट चाहिँ कम फन्ड आउँछ, बाहिरको इन्भेस्टरलाई तान्नु पऱ्यो. त्यो पोर्सनमा चाहिँ उनीहरूले कति पर्सेन्ट चाहिँ दिँदाखेरि होला के होला त्यस्तो केही.
सो अहिले कतिजना छ अहिले? 5 जना. मार्केटमा आई मिन थाहा पाए पनि त्यस्तो यो स्ट्यान्डर्ड प्र्याक्टिस नै हो. सबै कस्टमरले, सबै ठुल्ठुलो स्पेसली SaaS बिजनेस, सफ्टवेयर एज अ सर्भिस बिजनेसले चाहिँ सबैले त्यसरी गरिरहेको हुन्छ. सो मार्केटमा त्यस्तो आई मिन दुईटा त्यस्तो सबैले आई मिन जेनरल प्र्याक्टिस नै हो. सो एज इन त्यो सबैले गरिरहेको हुन्छ. या आई थिङ्क वर्ल्ड इज नट फेयर. होइन धेरै जस्तो कम्पनीले गरिरहेको हुन्छ. सो यदि दुईवटा कम्पनीले थाहा पाए पनि तिनीहरू दुईवटा कम्पनीले मात्र थाहा पाउने भयो, अनि जसलाई चाहिँ बेसी चार्ज गरेछ त्यसलाई रिफन्ड गर्यो. सो आई थिङ्क सल्भ भयो. तिनीहरूले ठुलो प्रेस डिल त्यस्तो केही पनि बनाउँदैन. आई थिङ्क स्ट्यान्डर्ड प्र्याक्टिस नै हो. स्पेसली एन्टरप्राइज कस्टमर. अब लाइक इन्डिभिजुअल डेभलपरले त ल हुन्छ नि, लाइक मलाई यति धेरैमा, मलाई यस्तो धेरैमा भयो होइन, तर एन्टरप्राइजलाई त इट्स नट देयर मनी हुन्छ नि. लाइक तिनीहरूले त खासै तिनीहरूले बजेट आएको हुन्छ, स्पेन्ड गर्छ. अनि मोस्ट लाइकली मान्छे पनि चेन्ज भइसकेको हुन्छ त्यस्तो त्यो डिल त्यो उयो नै हुँदैन प्रब्लम चाहिँ आउँदैन या तर अलिकति प्रिकसनहरू चाहिँ लिनुपर्छ आई मिन त्यो त्यसमा चाहिँ या अहिलेसम्म चाहिँ हामीलाई आएको छैन होपफुली आउँदैन होला या या सो फ्रीमा दिँदा भर्सेस प्राइस गर्दाखेरि कस्तो इम्प्याक्ट हुन्छ या या हैन सो तिमीले त्यस्तो गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ पुरानो कस्टमरलाई तिमीले बढाउनै पाउँदैनौ लाइक आई मिन सपोज तिमीले कसैले 100 रुपीजमा दिएछ भने त्यो अलमोस्ट 100 रुपीजमै दिइराख्नु पर्यो कि त त्यो गर्नु पर्यो कि त तिमीले सुरुमै हुन्छ नि हाम्रो यो डेमो ट्रायल हो हामीले यो 6 मन्थसम्म चाहिँ रन गर्छौँ तर हाम्रो चार्ज चाहिँ 900 रुपीज हो तर हामीले चाहिँ 6 मन्थ्सको लागि चाहिँ बिकज यु आर अर्ली कस्टमर्स एन्ड वी लभ यु एन्ड वी गिभ यु 100 रुपीज त्यसरी भन्यो भने चाहिँ सुरुमै चाहिँ क्लियर गर्नु पर्यो कि त्यो चाहिँ तर तिमीले 100 रुपीज हो भनेर भने होइन अनि पछि चाहिँ तिमीले प्राइसिङ इन्क्रिज गर्यो भने चाहिँ त्यो प्राइसिङ इन्क्रिज चाहिँ नयाँ कस्टमरको लागि हुन्छ पुरानो कस्टमरको लागि चाहिँ गर्नु मिल्दैन So coming back, पाँचजना छ होइन so I'm assuming like let's say equally भयो नि like 20% each होइन अनि I think तिमीले चाहिँ के कन्सिडर गर्नुपर्छ भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ like so certain fraction तिम्रो कम्पनी छ होइन अनि let's say इन्भेस्टर ल्यायो so कतिसम्म चाहिँ तिम्रो डाइल्युट किनभने इन्भेस्टर ल्यायो भने चाहिँ तिम्रो 20% बाट तिम्रो 15% हुन जान्छ एक्सेट्रा राइट सो यदि सबैजनाले चाहिँ यु जस्ट निड टु मेक श्योर हुन्छ नि सबैजना दे हेभ इनफ इन्सेन्टिभ टु बी इन द गेम हुन्छ नि लाइक लेट्स से तिमीले अति लो डाउन गर्यो होइन लाइक इफ यु बम्प इन्टु 5% अफ यर कम्पनी अफ भ्यालुएसन कि त कम्पनीको भ्यालु चाहिँ इट निड्स टु ग्रो एस्ट्रोनोमिकली होइन लाइक अति ठुलो हुनु पऱ्यो सो द्याट यु हेभ इनफ त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ इनफ छ भनेर होइन यदि त्यो कन्डिसन हुन सक्दैन भने लेट्स से यो कम्पनी like maximum addressable market, maximum value नै 1 million हुन्छ अरे होइन so if you're getting just 20% that's too small right so त्यो बिट चाहिँ एउटा कन्सिडर गर्नुपर्छ होइन तिमीले लाइक नयाँ इन्भेस्टर ल्याउँदाखेरि चाहिँ कतिको चाहिँ हामीले कतिको चाहिँ बिकज लाइक सेम अघिको सेप विथ द वुल राइट लाइक यु कान्ट स्क्रेप अल लाइक सबै खाली हुन्छ नि त सो यु जस्ट निड टु मेक श्योर कति चाहिँ दिन मिल्छ कति चाहिँ अनि नट जस्ट योर सेल्फ होइन लाइक अरू टिम मेम्बरलाई नि कस्तो लाग्छ लाइक इज द्याट इनफ इन्सेन्टिभ टु मोटिभेट एभ्रिबडी होइन सो त्यो बिट चाहिँ कन्सिडर गर्नुपर्छ But again, but also like having said that, like I think too greedy पनि हुनु हुँदैन होइन इन्भेस्टर ल्याउनको लागि बिकज इन्भेस्टर नल्यायो भने तिम्रो कम्पनी 1 million छ अरे होइन इन्भेस्टर ल्यायो भने तिम्रो इन्भेस्टर ल्याएर तिमीले X% दिएर तिम्रो कम्पनी 10 million हुन्छ भने still you're winning right हुन्छ नि like most likely you're getting more money so त्यो few factors चाहिँ तिमीले इभ्यालुएट गर्नु पर्यो कुन चाहिँ बेटर अप्रोच हुन्छ भनेर So I think मलाई यहाँको मार्केटको एक्ज्याक्ट भ्यालुएसन चाहिँ थाहा भएन होइन लाइक मोस्ट लाइकली एलन दाले थाहा होला नभए अरू कम्पनीहरूले रेज गरेछ स्ट्रेट बुक्सबाट
बुक्समा के छ त्यो भ्यालुएसन चाहिँ त्यो हाम्रो तपाईँको गुडविलको भ्यालुएसन त्यस्तो के पनि खास युजली यहाँ थाहा पाएअनुसार चाहिँ नि तपाईँको अब एकदम ठुलो कर्पोरेसन भयो भने चाहिँ तपाईँको गुडविलको भ्यालुएसन भयो ब्रान्डिङको भ्यालुएसन हुन्छ जस्तो अब सानो स्टार्टअपहरूको त तपाईँको त्यो भ्यालुएसन गर्ने मोडालिटी नै छैन भए पनि यदि हामीले अब इन्भेस्टर लिएर आयो भने पनि अब उसले चाहिँ नि सबैलाई त्यही तपाईँको फाइनेन्सियली सोध्छ कि अब भनौँ न कति इन्भेस्टमेन्ट पहिला तिम्रो क्यापिटल कम्पनीमा कति पेडअप छ म आएपछि कति हुन्छ मैले कति पर्सेन्टेज पाउँछ त्यसै सोध्छ कि तपाईँको कम्पनीलाई चाहिँ नि भन्नु एउटा भ्यालुएसनको मोडलमा चाहिँ छैन यहाँ सबै तपाईँको फाइनेन्सियल भ्यालुएसनमा
सो त्यो भयो भने चाहिँ अलिकति गाह्रो हुन्छ लाइक अरू कुनै कम्पनीमा इक्जाम्पल भयो भने चाहिँ सजिलो हुन्थ्यो लाइक त्यो चाहिँ
कि त यहीँको कम्पनीलाई एकैचोटि बाहिरको कम्पनीले किनिरहेछ त्यो भएपछि तपाईँको बाहिरको भ्यालुएसन यहीँको अब इनिसियल पिरियडमा चाहिँ नि तपाईँको त्यो कम्पनी भ्यालुएसन गर्ने चाहिँ कुनै मोडालिटी नै छैन
त्यही सरी मलाई थाहा भएन त्यो चाहिँ कसरी कतिको भ्यालुएसन हुन्छ भनेर आई मिन अरू ठाउँमा चाहिँ लाइक हुन्छ नि प्री रेभेन्यू छ भने चाहिँ एक्स भ्यालुएसन अनि यतिवटा हुन्छ नि यतिवटा युजर छ भने चाहिँ एक्स भ्यालुएसन अनि लाइक एउटा रेन्ज चाहिँ तोकिरहेको हुन्छ नि लाइक प्री रेभेन्यू सान फ्रान्सिस्कोमा मेबी 3.5 मिलियन भ्यालुएसन to 5 million valuation त्यसरी हुन्छ इन्डियामा चाहिँ बिट्विन 1.5 to 3 मिलियन त्यसरी भ्यालुएसन हुन्छ but no idea यहाँ चाहिँ कति हुन्छ भनेर I mean यदि छैन भने त त्यही गर्नु पर्यो हैन तर 1 year भनेको धेरै लामो टाइम हो आई थिंक लाइक बरु हुन्छ नि अरू फ्याक्टरहरुमा गर्नु भन्दा नि हुन्छ नि लाइक यदि तिम्रो प्रोडक्टले तिमीले सोचेको प्रोडक्ट चाहिँ हुन्छ नि लाइक इट डज XYZ ABCD हुन्छ नि यति धेरै छ भने चाहिँ हैन लाइक जस्ट पिक फ्यु थिंग्स हुन्छ नि एक दुईवटा सोचेर अनि त्यहाँदेखि लाइक क्रिएट लाइक रियली स्मल version of a product हैन अनि त्यहाँदेखि चाहिँ लाइक put it out in the market अनि त्यहाँदेखि चाहिँ त्यो भए चाहिँ तिमीसँग you can already start getting numbers अनि थुप्रै कुराहरु किनभने सकेसम्म प्रोडक्ट चाहिँ अगाडि ल्यायो भने चाहिँ आई थिंक त्यतिखेरसम्म चाहिँ नम्बर पनि हुन सक्छ नि त मेबी So fully product market में ल्याउनु भनेपछि चाहिँ I don't mean like हुन्छ नि big launch etc हुन्छ नि like सानो 5 people 10 people तिनीहरुलाई ल्याएर अनि त्यहाँदेखि चाहिँ त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ फिडब्याकहरु लिने हुन्छ नि अनि के चाहिँ was working was not working किनभने the thing is that हुन्छ नि at least हामीले गर्ने बेलामा चाहिँ हामीले गरिरहेको बेलामा चाहिँ we had this whole assumption हुन्छ नि like people want to do this हैन अनि we couldn't be any far from wrong हुन्छ नि like हामीले यति धेरै फिचरहरु बनायौ but it was really like हामीले एउटा small just so हामीले चाहिँ एनालिटिक्सको बारेमा चाहिँ थुप्रै कुराहरु एड गर्दै गएन अनि it took us 1 year to make that live हुन्छ नि versus यदि हामीले just recording video मात्र हामीले like we could have launched like 8 months ago हुन्छ नि so I think त्यो hopefully so त्यो वेमा गयो भने चाहिँ it's a lot more better rather than म 1 year मा बल्ल गएर अनि त्यहाँदेखि I'll launch the most awesome product भन्नु भन्दा नि हैन like launch in 2 or 3 months time अनि with kind of okay product with bugs etc हुन्छ नि but just launch हुन्छ नि अनि I think launch गर्यो भने चाहिँ you'd learn so much things that you'd never ever learn like so it just creates so much like time चाहिँ थुप्रै सेभ हुन्छ त्यसै गर्यो भने चाहिँ and hopefully त्यो भयो भने चाहिँ you can even have हुन्छ नि आफ्नो नम्बरहरु पनि हुन सक्छ त्यतिखेरसम्म anything else के छ नि Awesome. But I hope this was useful. Feel free to connect. If there is anything I can help on, happy to help.